We're still learning how to use this fancy equipment, but we're here together. First time together in many years, 2 years, Brian, right?
Yes, it is.
We
That's
stopped
crazy.
going to closings, and then we did lives, and you look the same. You haven't aged at all. So hey, COVID did nothing to you.
You're too nice. You're too nice. You're too nice. Yeah, this is a great office.
Yeah, this is a
Love
fun
it.
place. This is really great. Well, I'm happy we could meet. We wanted to get together. It's been about a month since we've chatted because we have been in the growth of the spring market out slaying dragons every day.
Yeah.
But it's nice to step back and connect and kind of get update about what's going on. For you, those of you that are tuning in, Brian and I are partners in this real estate projects that we work on, and our opinions here that we share with you, the consumer, are ours, not of our brokerages or our franchises collectively, but our experiences and how we work together with our clients to better serve them, and we want to share some of those details with you. So
if I could just add one thing, Amy.
Yeah.
Clients have to understand how critical it is to be working with an agent such as yourself, because if they aren't working with someone with your skills in this market and they have less than 20% down, it's going to be tough to win a purchase.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about your relationship, your ability to go in and negotiate once the offer is determined. So again, consumers out there, you got to call Amy, because having the right agent on your side is huge in this market.
I'll tell you, and as a listing agent, when I'm dealing with offers coming my direction, and on a listing, we can see now 5 to 10 offers. More than ever has it been important about what the partnership is between the agent, the buyer's agent, and the lender, and what kind of package they bring to the table. More than ever, because you could have somebody with an outrageous offer with some out-of-town agent and some no-name lender, and I tell you, that is a real challenge and a real scare for a listing agent in this strong market. So thank you, Brian. I appreciate our partnership.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to get together and kind of update everybody. We are in the throes of spring. It is the end of March 2022, and we have been climbing out of the COVID world for a long time now. And who knew we'd be here in this housing predicament that we're in? But home has never been as important as it is today, ever, right? And
sorry to interrupt.
We're in a position where we underbuilt for quite a while. So everybody asked me, gosh, is this a bubble? What's going on? And clearly what it is we underbuilt for a solid decade. We've continued to migrate people into our country, across our country, moving this and that way for positions or to live close to family. And now everybody wants to have a place to call home.
Plus, we have the largest consumer buyers, the millennials, that in some cases have been living with their folks for the last 5-6 years. And they want to own homes too. Rents are going up. Our nation is down by about 4 million housing units. The best builders can do right now is add about 2 million, and that's not happening right now. I've spoken to many builders over the last couple months, and there's supply chain issues, there's pricing issues, there's labor issues. You've really got to be ready to act quickly, whether you're buying an existing home or new construction, because the marketplace is just different than it was 5 years ago.
It is, and it's so interesting to work with buyers that haven't been in the market for 10 or 20 years. They're just like, wow, it's different. And thankfully, they're kind of aware of that because of the news or things like this, like these podcasts or any social media, but you can't have a casual approach to this.
No.
You can't just drive around on a Sunday and bump into a parade of homes. That just doesn't work. Anybody that's even, looking in the resale market, you have to be proactive, even with the new construction, because you need to say, okay, I like this neighborhood. What's coming with lots? What's coming down the road? It might be 10, 12 months. Honestly, before you can get in. So
Absolutely.
we're gonna touch on new construction, because I think it's important when you're home shopping to look for both resale and new construction and compare the two. Some people want to not compete, we'll say, with other resale buyers and go and build. And that's great. Some people enjoy the product of going from dirt, building their structure, picking everything. The only thing that's way different now is the timing. It used to be a 6-month build in Minnesota. It's definitely 8 to 10 from dirt, from nothing. And you have to just be okay with the price changing. let's face it, inflation, we all know inflation's here, and we cannot say the price of those nails and the asphalt shingles and the windows are the same today as they will be in, oh my gosh, let me think, Christmas 2022. So we got to kind of put our arms around that as advisors. You know, one thing is your payment, your rate, and your down payment, all the normal stuff. But boy, you might price that home out at 700 today, but it might end up at 750, and you just have to be okay with that.
It's so true, Amy. I was with a builder this weekend, and they are really struggling with, typically they would spec out to all of their subs,
Yep.
and the subs would come back and give them a guaranteed price, and then they could lock that in. That's probably the trickiest part for a builder. But the other thing that's happening is we're seeing a lot of extensions. I have clients that were supposed to start January 1st, were supposed to be done June.
Mm-hmm.
They just started digging this week. That's the kind of delay. Now the builder's telling them, oh, we'll still be done by end of summer. But it gets really tricky when you're in this rate environment where rates are going up. They could potentially continue to go up, and you don't have any idea when you can close.
Right.
That gets really tricky in new construction.
Right. Okay, so we wanted to share with people that Alerus does have a solution if you are building with a one-time close option. It's not, easy. It's not, but it is a simplified process that I don't think a lot of people are aware of, and even some builders I've chatted with about your program weren't aware of.
The single close process combines a construction loan with an end loan, and you close them at once. And you actually close that before the builder ever starts digging. So the biggest advantage is on a typical construction transaction with two processes on the mortgage side, you would take the construction loan, the home would be built. When we're 45 to 60 days from closing, then we would come in with an end loan, your typical 30-year fixed rate, and close as a refinance paying off the construction loan. You have double costs, so that's one issue. You have length of build, and if you're trying to lock your interest rate in some cases you don't have any idea when you can lock because of these extensions with the builder.
Sure.
So you're exposed to the market. I have clients that we were looking at rates on a mortgage at 3.5%. And now they're looking at rates at 4.75%. In some cases, if a client is really tight on qualifying, by the time they're ready to close that end loan, they may not even qualify, which is crazy. So Alerus has a single close construction loan. You have to put 20% down. You have to have some contingency funds. This is where we would look at, if your build is $500,000, you have an extra $50,000 that's in a retirement account, an IRA. There are many other places that you could have those funds, but it's just so that we know the client has additional money in case the costs of their build go up. Then they would cover that. But the biggest advantage is we get the client pre-approved, we get the plans and specs from the builder, we do an appraisal so we know that the house is going to meet the value expectations. And I can lock the loan for 60 days. I can do a 60-day lock, secure that rate. We close on the transaction within 45 days, and they're done with the mortgage. The construction loan and the end loan are the same product, and they have a year for the house to be built. They pay interest only as we make payments out to the builder. And then at the end of that year, we flip it over to a 30-year fixed rate at the same rate.
At the same rate. Because that's the moving target. It's the two worries are the rate and the cost of the labor and material for the build, right? So we're able to lock in one of them because we know the other ones are going to adjust, right?
I just closed on one of these a week ago, actually 2 weeks ago, Monday.
Okay.
They had a jumbo loan because it was higher than 647,200. We locked them in at 3.25%. And rates, by the time we got to closing, rates had already gone up to 3.75. They were locked in at 3.25. They don't even have to think about anything. And the interesting thing is, underwriting's done. The
Yeah.
loan is closed. We are done. So on the two-step process, when you come back to do that end refinance, the file has to go back into underwriting and be reviewed. And if anything changes, that could be an issue. On this one-time close, you're done. Everything's done. The only thing the client has to keep into account, if you're initially building for 900 and your price goes up to 950, you have to cover that difference and pay it direct to the builder, because
Sure.
everything is set in stone up front. But
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It'll also hold them back from doing all those upgrades that everybody gets kind of loose
Yes.
about towards the end. You know, they keep
Yes.
adding things. So,
yeah,
wow, what a great product. I
it's a
mean,
great product. And what I really appreciate about it at Alerus, so we are a bank, we're a lender, but we can shop the mortgage out to the market. We find the best rate. Alerus will honor that, but Alerus will do the underwriting, we'll do the servicing, we keep everything in-house, and our system is really smooth. We have a construction manager. Our communication with builders and with the clients, everything is very well understood up front throughout the process. It's really going well.
wow. I was on the phone with a local builder here last week, and just talking about some ideas for a buyer. And I brought up financing. I'm like, oh, interesting. I think the rates kind of ticked up that day or something. And I was like, well, Alerus has that awesome one closing option. And they were like, what? Wait, what? And I was kind of explaining it to them. No, and they're like, that's really great. Some of the uber small, and this is a smaller builder, right?
Yeah,
They're not always out there hustling and understanding all that. They're busy building. They're swinging hammers, right?
yes,
So it's really important, if someone is going to build, knowledge. So when you go into those meetings, you can put yourself as a understanding of the financing part. Then the builder brings you the process of the home, right? Their
Yes.
expertise. So
yeah,
wow, that's a great
absolutely.
way to kind of not have to compete, but you do have to understand that the price of goods and labor could go up.
Yes.
That's the big difference with building.
The other nice thing about it, Amy, is we have a 12-month period where they make interest-only payments. Let's say they have some delays, and it's another 2 months before they're done. Because we hold it in-house, we have flexibility where we could extend it out another 2 months. They don't have to freak out and worry about, my gosh, am I going to lose my lock? Alerus is a very common sense lender when we hold the loans within our portfolio. And I think that's a real benefit for so many moving parts.
Absolutely. It's all hands on deck, right? Because there are so many moving parts and so many things that can change, right? To know that you have the, the kind of the cat-like reflexes to handle that, boy, that gives the builder confidence too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. So tell me a little bit about ARMS. It's kind of becoming a chat lately. I've been hearing a little bit about it. We've been doing fixed rate 30 years now for a decade, right? It's like that's all we've been doing. That's great. But starting to hear a little bit about ARMS coming back into the marketplace in a larger way.
We're actually getting into almost an inverted yield curve. That's where short-term money, like a 2-year treasury, is the same price as a 10-year treasury. They are almost the same price. So what happens is fixed rates start getting really high. Now it's all relative, because obviously for me and you, rates at 4.75 or so are still very good, but as spreads continue between the ARMs and the fixed rates, it could be an advantage to be looking at a 7-year ARM or a 5-year ARM, because what the consumer has to remember is the spread between a 30-year fixed and, let's say, a 5-year ARM is probably 0.5% of a rate. I have many first-time home buyers that know they won't be in a house for more than 5 years, even if they pushed it a few years beyond that. An adjustable rate mortgage has an introductory fixed rate period, typically 5, 7, or 10 years, and after that it adjusts. But there are steps, there are caps within that product so that it can only go up so much. I did an analysis earlier this morning on a 5-year ARM. You would probably still have the benefit of staying in that ARM for 7 to 8 years, as compared to taking a 30-year fixed rate if you were going to be in the house no longer than 7 to 8 years, you would actually save more money on the ARM. So I think it is something that I definitely am going to start introducing as a conversation with clients that aren't looking for the perfect house. They just want to get in, and maybe they're there for 5, 6 years before they move to their next.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you have to look at both of those options and make the right choice, right?
Absolutely. It varies from client to client, but we just do a simple analysis. And, they could have the intent of starting with an ARM, but maybe they find the perfect house. They can always switch to a fixed rate prior to closing. So it's a new tool that we'll probably want to bring out and start looking at for some clients.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we are in interesting times, that's for sure. There's a lot of variables. There's a lot that introductory discussion with any buyer, which is typically a seller too. There's a lot to look at financing wise. Are you looking at a resale home, new construction? Even the kind of product we're seeing. Condos are starting to come back where they really got quiet during COVID, right? Boy, the condo listings were tough. Condos meaning in a building, a vertical building. Yep. Some of our condos in Minnesota look like a townhome. Yep. So that is starting to come back too. All thumbs up. I mean, really, the market is incredibly strong. Everybody needs to be proactive. Brian and I know our busiest days. We built our new weekend in Minnesota. It starts on Thursday, right? That's when listings hit the market, and we're putting offers in Thursday, Friday, and we're buzzing. No longer, do not wait for weekends. They don't exist. Actually, I think us realtors invented, let's move the weekend to Thursday, Friday, because things are sold by the weekend. So you really have to be ready to roll. That's when your phone's ringing, because I know you're proactive and you're always communicating with both sides of the transaction to let buyers and sellers agents know how strongly committed you are to the process and how well your buyers are pre-approved.
The other thing we don't want, Amy, is for people to get discouraged. There's a lot of cash buyers out there. I think 27% of all the national transactions are cash. Don't be discouraged by that. It doesn't mean it's the best offer. And it doesn't mean if you're competing against cash, you can't win. This past weekend, we had a couple transactions with 5% down that got accepted. But again, you've got to work with someone like Amy who can structure the offer, that knows how to present it, because we are seeing a lot of agents out there that don't know what they're doing, and they're not going to win. So you've got to hook yourself up with Amy so you can make sure that you have the opportunity to win.
Well, that's what's interesting is you have to structure your offers to compete with cash. And that's very simply how you do it. And you just make your terms align with how a cash offer would, and you will win. Yeah. You will win. So exactly. Do not be discouraged. The ability for the lender and the buyer's agent to get that buyer to that acceptance can be done with strong terms and a good partnership. So Brian, I welcome anybody that wants to talk about the market and how we can help you finish strongly, get through this market, because believe me, people come out winning. You just have to be prepared. And as long as you're prepared and not surprised, you will have a great time in your transaction. So
absolutely. Appreciation's still here. It's going to still continue. Rents are going to go up. Now's the time to buy a house. We're going to get more inventory as we get farther into this year. Kind of starts out slow, but it's going to be growing. And Amy and I are here willing to help you get into your house, whether it's the first, second, or third.
Exactly. Yes, they're all fun at different stages, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, excellent. Brian, thank you so much for meeting. Everyone that chimed in, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Please feel free to comment below or reach out to either one of us via our contact information. We'd love to chat and talk to you about the process and the real estate market. Thanks, everybody.